our dear friends at TYT are big fans of acting like the pressure they put on people is the reason that, a politician did something. Instead of, if you look at all the signs, that politician does exactly what they were planning on doing for a while and has just been working on it. And in between them saying they're going to do it and them getting it done, there's a lot of like mechanical politicking that has to be done. And in the middle, they're like, they said it, well, I don't believe them, so I'm just going to keep hammering it. And when they finally do it, like they were working on, you can go, see, I made it. If it wasn't for my pressure, they would have never done an infrastructure bill. It's because they put their feet to the fire and we made sure they stayed true to, like, fucko. They were just drafting the goddamn thing. It's embarrassing when people do that. Well, Mike Lindell is in that business currently. Mike Lindell, if you look over here, is Mike Lindell. Election officials are being forced to perform their job properly from our accountability. The idea being that it's because of him and him peering over their shoulder that they're behaving legally. Not that they have been behaving legally this whole fucking time, and that never changed. Like I said, I don't watch these clips, and apparently neither does anybody else. This is 24 views. Apparently, I guess people thought that because Bannon was getting arrested, that the War Room, I thought it wasn't going to be on today. I was just watching his live feed. But there's something to this that might be, him claiming that, but also trying to get people to vote again. Because the complaint that Republicans have right now is that Lindell and Trump specifically are driving down the Republican turnout beyond just the fact that they screwed the pooch with the Dodd ruling and women are going to show up for Rovember. And then, the Biden administration has brought down gas prices, everything, like they're talking about Bidenomics out in the open now, that it's actually working, that the inflation, the supply shock based inflation that we experience is now a regular part of, is going down, but it had to do with like year over year inflation based on the year after COVID, which would spike it up and create this automatically elevated idea. So it's the Democrats are looking towards a better and better fall. Now, everybody has to vote. And don't forget, go to vote.org. Make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure somebody hasn't, one of these Republican secretaries of states hasn't kicked you off the rolls. That said, one of the problems that the biggest problem Republicans have going into the fall is all the people who believe that, that you can't trust voting. You can't trust the vote anymore. And so why the fuck would those people show up to vote? Why would you go through the process if you thought it was rigged to start with? Why? Especially if the trend is going the other way, you're maybe demoralized anyways. You know that the Roe v. Wade decision and the Dodd decision specifically is going to drive people to the polls. You're already going to be swamped. You're probably going to lose on the merits. Better not to go and just go, it was all fixed to begin with, right? Oh, hey, Gonzo, the angry liberal. Nice to see you. Welcome. Good to see you again, man. Hope you're well. Okay, so I'm curious if this is Lindell trying to talk people into voting again. Yeah, there's going to be an ad. Okay. Biden likely wants his video erased no, he doesn't care. Possible changes to U.S. Okay.
Here's the reason they kicked him out of the big boxes.
He's talking about Mike Pillow. Here's the reason they kick him out of he means the big box stores. I'll tell you why. Because the products aren't moving, because his name is mud right now, and they need the shelf space.
The San Francisco Chronicle, and put up on their website at the San Francisco Gate, and I'm going to put it up on my getter here right at the end of the show.
Oh, yeah. I'm waiting with bated breath.
Headlines. This cannot continue. Big old picture of Mike Lindell. That beautiful, in fact, he's looking very ominous in this picture. But the headline is, this cannot continue. MAGA influencers create hell for election offices. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the War Room Posse.
Yeah, they're getting their lives threatened.
It's a whole article on the secretaries of state, and particularly these county commissioners, on asking for the cast vote records inundating them with requests for information they should have.
Okay. Well, let's take a look. All right. This cannot continue. MAGA influencers are, let's see. This is the article. This is the article. Here it is. There's the whole thing. This cannot continue. MAGA influencers are creating hell for California election offices. Natalie Adona, the clerk, recorder, and registrar of voters in California's Nevada County, is having a bad week. For almost 2 years now, her inbox has been inundated with public records requests for people who have falsely believed the 2020 election was stolen. That's a thumb, by the way. Thanks to a handful of conspiracy theorists, though this has been the worst week yet, not just for Adona, but for many election officials around the state. The requests are growing exponentially. There's some comfort in knowing that it's not just us. Every one of the requests, which are often copy-pasted from templates distributed by influencers peddling falsehoods about 2020 election, must be carefully reviewed and responded to. Several counties have had to hire outside assistance to sort through the swarm. So basically just doing a DDoS of, they're swarming them with paperwork, which officials told the San Francisco Gate is a labor-intensive distraction from their work preparing for the upcoming elections this year. Shasta County clerk said that her office received 87 requests in 2022, up from just 3 requests in 2020. 50 of this year's requests came from the months of July and August alone, a big enough influx that the county had to hire outside attorneys to deal with them. Allen said many of the requests repeat false claims that Dominion voting machines were hijacked by foreign actors. I have staff requesting extensions and researching how to obtain the reports requested from our Dominion voting system. This cannot continue. Many of the requests sent this week have demanded that recipients maintain all records related to the 2020 election under threat of theoretical lawsuit about election fraud. Doing so may go against state law, which requires election officials to destroy election-related material after 22 months, unless they're needed as part of an active court case. For records related to the last presidential election, that deadline was September 3rd. Any counties that do not have a litigation hold on records from the November 2020 election are obligated under California law to destroy records. Adona explained in the Tuesday phone call with San Francisco Gate. During the call, Adona paused to note that she just received another request to retain records from an emailer with the name Red Hat Patriot 53. You do realize, these folks do realize that if you got an email from someone with the username Red Hat Patriot 53, you have to be a real person. They can ignore them if they don't have their real name and information. The demand for election, okay, QAnon influencer, an alleged time traveler, Tori Maris, who has ties to disgraced Trump lawyer Sidney Powell. Maris provided her 54,000 fans on Telegram with a template. Wait a minute. Alleged time traveler? Hang on. QAnon grifter claims she can time travel, is running for office in Ohio. That's beautiful. Secretaries again, Terpsahore Maris isn't even trying to hide her affiliation with QAnon. Claims she can time travel. Please tell me this. Come on. Open link in your tab. Let's go. QAnon grifter tells followers she can time travel. Says Trump will be reinstated. What did she say? This is June 3rd, 2021. QAnon claims retribution is coming, and she says that it's stolen 2020. Okay, blah, blah, blah. That's from Ross Ray. QAnon adherent who claims she can time travel is whipping up her thousands of followers to carry out a plot to oust elected officials in the U.S. and replace them with QAnon followers. After months of building a network of groups in 50 states, Terpsichore, Maris Lindman, she got married, promised her followers that retribution is coming, and she okay, we've got to find a video of this woman. Come on. What did she call herself? I'm going to have to look her up on Telegram now. Is that how this is going to work? All right. Put a pin in that, people. All right, close. Yeah, they're just flooding her with stuff. That's the idea. Is that they're just trying to obliterate them with requests.
Their fingertips, it shouldn't be a big deal. But this is why they hate Lindell, and this is why the big boxes kicked him out. Here's a quote. This cannot, there it is right there. Thank you, Denver. Appreciate it. Look at that picture of Lindell. Look at good old Mike Lindell we know and love. Look, he looks so ominous.
No, he looks suspicious. He's also standing in front of a Women for America Trump bus paid for by My Pillow from, I believe, January 6th.
Right there. This cannot continue. Mike Lindell, what did you and the War Room Posse, what did you inflict upon these elections officials?
86 requests for records.
That they're calling no mas. I mean, and it's just whining.
The War Room Posse.
The entire article is about whining. Listen, we have these folks on the run right now. We have them on the run, and you got to continue to press and press and press.
They're not on the run. You're just stacking work for taxpayer employees. You could do it once. You're doing it to gum up the works to fuck with the election, not to clarify it.
The attack, oppress the attack, sir.
Yep. Yeah, it's we have the whole nation. It's not just California.
Yeah, we're gumming up elections in the entire country. It's a dream come true. We're basically trying to glory hole the shit out of democracy in general.
You got Michael Adams, the Secretary of State of Kentucky. They're all going, what do we do? They're trying to suppress. They're trying to hurt our process for the election, the 2022 election.
Right.
Yeah, we're trying to tell you have a corrupt process, that the machines are corrupt. You need to get rid of them.
Yeah, that's not happening. That's not what you're doing. That would be a request. That would be you get together, you pay for that money, and you show up, and you get a bunch of like Kentucky voters who will only vote by paper, and they request a paper ballot at all these different places, and you gum up the works, and you make it such a movement that nobody in Kentucky, the majority of the voters are going to vote by paper, and they refuse to be involved if there's a computer involved. You do that, knock yourself the fuck out. It won't work, but that's not what this is. This is trying to load somebody up with bureaucratic work so that they can't do the job of prepping for an upcoming election, and arguably making them have to act quicker going into the actual election itself, and where more mistakes could be made.
Well, but everyone reached out for the cast vote records. Steve, isn't it funny that they want to stop everybody from getting them when it shows 100% machine manipulation?
No, it doesn't. Like, that's, again, he considers the use of any machines manipulation.
96% of all the machines we've looked at now, of all the cast vote records.
We looked at this video that he was talking about. He cut off in his own video the guy's evidence. I went back and looked at it. It's the same algorithm shit that he was talking about in absolute proof, and we dunked on that shit before.
It shows that county is corrupt. We're over 500 now that we've looked at. We have upwards of 1,000, almost a third of all the counties in the country. You guys at the War Room Posse, you guys went out there and got them. God bless you. And they're upset about it. Oh, boy, these county clerks have to do their job. What a concept.
They don't have to do their job. They have to do one job over and 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 over again. It's an attack on efficiency.
This is the Freedom of Information Act that's our right as citizens to get this information. You guys can all help right now. We have reason to believe that the Secretary of State have told the commissioners not to give some of you the cast vote records. So now you can do a FOIA request. Go to frankspeech.com, click on Save My State, do another FOIA request.
Jesus Christ, it's failed already, but at least they have to go through the process of hiring an attorney to respond to it every fucking time. Yeah, this is just being a nuisance now.
Get the word out to these Secretary of States, and we get to have all their emails that said, don't give these people their cast vote records. So if you go to frankspeech.com and you click on
no, you don't.
Save My State, you can do it again. Let's keep hammering them. This is our right to this information.
No, you don't.
We're tired of the cover-up of the biggest crime in history.
The biggest crime in history? Look, I'm of the belief system that Geraldo was he opened the vault And inside there was a lot of stuff. There was gold and money and all kinds of stuff. And what we saw was the second opening. He went at night and they drilled out the bottom and then they spackled back over where they went. You'll notice there's a spot in the floor he never steps on. I think because it's filled in with cake icing.
By the way, this is why we're not going to back off, and I want to make sure people understand.
We're not going to back off, until they tell me I can't broadcast from prison, which won't happen.
This thing, what they say about, hey, it's overwhelming us. Hey, this is your job. Remember, I had people call me when this first started, and they said, we've never had...
Look, DDO, dedicated denial of service attacks, like cyber attacks, takes a regular computer function and overwhelm it on purpose to break the system. It is not their job to bat down bullshit requests from lunatics all day fucking long. It is their job to prep, right now, especially since it's after September 3rd in a lot of these places, it is their job to prep for the next election. There is no standing lawsuit that any of them have to preserve this shit for. None of them. Yes, Dominion is suing Mike Lindell.
This should be automatic. You shouldn't be overwhelmed. You should know immediately. And here's the problem. They have never wanted to be transparent. They've wanted to keep this information to themselves. People have to understand, we're never backing off the big steal of 2020. We can't. It's not about Trump. It is not about Trump. This is about this republic and what we owe to every generation that bequeathed us. So look, in England over this weekend, in the next 10 days, they're going to be in trauma because of the stability they've had, as harkening back to the 1950s with Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, so the changing of the monarch will destabilize the UK. Get the fuck out of here.
Well,
thanks, angry liberal. See you in DC. Oh, nice. I am indeed.
We have the same stability, and now the whole country is imploding. Why? They want you to...
The country is not imploding, for the record.
...be disoriented. They want you to be tense.
Like Mike.
They want you to be off your game.
Like Steve.
And this is what I'm saying. Hey, I'm on it. Yesterday was one of the best days of my life. Trust.
Yes, I learned so much about myself and about my colon.
Moon River.
It was a very spiritual day for me. They're not going to break me. They're not going to back me off. Are you?
They're not trying to break you or back you off. They're trying to penalize you for criminal activity. That's it. They're going to give you a fair trial. You're going to be found guilty. And you're going to pay some sort of penance for that. Either you're in a fine or jail time or a combination of the two. This has nothing to do with shutting him up.
Are you kidding me? They understand. And what I'm going to tell you something else that happened yesterday. There were about 35 FBI raids to other people because now that they've been shut down in Mar-a-Lago, the Gestapo FBI with the DOJ is trying.
Oh, the Gestapo FBI. Okay, all right. How are you supposed to respond if the actual Gestapo shows up at your door? What would be the proper response for that? Yeah, that's what he's saying.
I get people for some grand jury on some grand jury.
Some grand jury. I mean, not so like. Well, it's not a grand jury. It's a mini grand.
Starting January 6th, because the January 6th House thing collapsed. It meant nothing.
No, it actually led to other people getting arrested and people turning state's evidence, and it extended past it.
The Mar-a-Lago thing means nothing. It's not impacting the American people. It's not changing the polls.
Actually, yes, it is. 1 in 4 Republicans now say MAGA is a threat to democracy.
They're in desperate mode because they know we're going to win.
It was like 1 in 16 before.
And we know we're going to take control of the apparatus. And
No, you're not.
The reason we're winning is guys like...
Also, why in the world would you think you're going to win or be sure you're going to win if you actually believe the vote is still rigged or doesn't work? What? I don't understand the logic there. How does that play out in your brain? That 2020 was rigged, that this is rigged, that it's always rigged, and that the Democrats are rigging it right now, and they're going to use all these machines, blah, blah, blah. How in the world do you think you're going to win and go like, we're going to take back, this is going to be great, when the polls show you the exact opposite? And I mean, look, honestly, the honest answer is he's bullshitting. The honest answer is this is, Trump style bravado. Just pretend you're winning.
Mike Lindell didn't back off, and Mike Lindell said, hey, just keep hammering for information. The new thing on the FOIA request, you're going to show all the lies and misrepresentations. Because when this came, it should be hitting a button simple.
No.
When they got the
No, because they have to go through why you deserve it, why you in particular, whether you're a real citizen, whether or not you have standing in getting this particular information on votes cast in an area, which contains home addresses of fucking people. They don't just hand it out.
request, all 3,200 counties should have stood up. Not
He bonded out.
a problem. You get the right to do it. Boom. Why did we get thousands out of 3,200? People are scrambling around. Why were, and hey, some of these were Republicans. Remember, in 2020, these.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Where there was fraud, you will always find a Republican.
A lot of these were Republican legislatures or the power brokers, not the legislature overall, that tried to shut it down. Or
It's almost as if Trump tried to rig the election to save himself, failed miserably, and Republicans who are still in office don't want to go down on his behalf. So they're telling everybody, don't look.
Republicans like the governor in Arizona. Right now, you've got different Republicans, Secretary of State, they're scrambling.
Dude, Carrie Lake is saying she knows where there's fraud, but she won't tell you what it is. Logically, the only reason she, being who she is and favoring Trump the way she does, that would keep the details of fraud to herself is if she knew the people that carried it out intended to help Trump, the actions they took out were intending to help Trump, and they failed, and therefore that failure would put them all in jail, or even the attempt would put them in jail, and the failures would make people recognize that Trump had fewer votes in Arizona even than he says or he thinks he did.
Mike Lindell saying, hey, I don't care what your politics are. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat.
You kind of do, though.
This is about fair elections. In these fair elections, and this is why so many Democrats and so many independents are flocking to this in the candidates.
Well, we're just showing up to tell you to go flock yourself.
Because this is why Jim
Let's get the flock out of here.
Marchant is ahead of the Senate candidate and the governor's candidate in Nevada. He's promising the people in Nevada a transparent, free, and fair election. And you remember this too, Mike, from your early days and talking about this, your relationship with Amy Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar was the #1 person out there, right? She's no right-wing MAGA, quote-unquote crazy. Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, they were warning Klobuchar from Minnesota when he first met her. She was warning about this from the first time she really got onto the national stage.
Yeah, years ago, before companies like ES&S and Dominion added a paper trail. There, like something in the order of like 90%, 96% of the ballots cast had a paper copy this time around. That's why they said it was the most secure in American history, because either people mailed them in and they were counted from the paper and there was still a paper ballot and an electronic count and they could be verified together, or the machines that were used that you used in person printed out a copy of what you voted for. You could look at it and match it up with your choices. You put it in an envelope and turned it in, and it had a digital count on the machine and a paper count that you handed to them. And then if there was a problem, they could match them up. That's what happened. That's what's happening now. That's how the vote works now.
Is that not
Steve,
correct,
they were
Mike
warning
Lindell?
about these machines.
Yeah, Steve, my question is, how long did it take you to paint the War Room logo on the wall of your cell using only bodily fluids?
For decades, the Democrats, since 2000. And Amy Klobuchar.
Yeah, since 2000. You know, before smartphones or the iPod. Get the fuck out of here. Jimmy Carter warned us. Yeah, before there were personal computers. They were warning us back when there were dial phones.
My senator here in Minnesota, she was right there up until almost to 2019. She was in the movie Kill Chain. We can't use machines. We can't use machines.
Yeah, clips from 2008, 2007.
This is why they're trying to cover up the cast vote records, everybody. It's 100% shows machine manipulation and corruption, or it shows zero. There's no in between.
No, I'll tell you, one of the reasons why Republicans in these areas don't want to give it to you is because it shows 20% machine manipulation by Republicans for Donald Trump. That would be another possibility I'm going to float out there, why most Republicans are the people who are least likely to want recounts or any kind of look at the machines. Everybody else is just tired of your shit. They've already given it so many times. They have to move on and continue doing their job.
Tell you what we're up against. The North Dakota Secretary of State, everybody, he's been in power for decades, okay?
Not North Dakota, that liberal bastion.
He made a comment yesterday to a radio host friend of mine up there saying, you know what? There's no such thing as these cast vote records. What is it? What are they talking about? He's been in power. He doesn't, of course he knows. He's trying to cover it up and not give any out in North Dakota. The guy's been in power that long, doesn't know what a cast vote record is.
Well, he is a Republican. And I mean, it could be that Trump lost North Dakota. And if he shows people those records, you'll see that. And that Trump's loss will be even more brutal than people thought it was. Maybe just maybe he's been in power that long because North Dakota went blue a long time ago, and he's just been up there manipulating it the whole time. I mean, you'd have to ask him yeah.
Well, he needs to be educated. If you're in North Dakota, you send those FOIA requests into your Secretary of State. Well, everybody should.
Hold on one second. I have to check something out. Let's see, I gotta find. Okay. North Dakota Secretary of State. Let's see. About the Office of Secretary of State bio. There he is. Al Yeager, who here seen sporting a mustache that could saw a tree in half. Honestly, I think, all things considering, Mario has aged very well, but now we at least know why he wore a hat most of the time. Born in North Dakota's, he was elected North Dakota's 14th Secretary of State in 92. He was reelected in 96, 2000, 2004 to a two-year term, 2006, 2010, 2014, 2018. Serves on the Emergency Commission, Board of North Dakota State Historical Society, and the North Dakota Board of University and School Lands. Active participant in the National Association of Secretaries of State, NASS. He was born in Beulah, North Dakota in 1943, raised in Beulah. He graduated from his high school in 1961. He attended Bismarck State College, and in 1963, received an Associate of Arts degree from Dick N. Son. Didn't Glenn Beck warn us about this? Dick N. Son State University in 1966. He received a Bachelor of Science degree majoring in business education with a minor in speech. He also took postgraduate courses in 1968 from the University of North Dakota and Montana State University in 1970. Yeager then was chosen by Bismarck State College and alumni recipient of the Bismarck. He's a very well known and a well served man. He is a, his wife died in 2016. They had three adult children. Although not actively practicing after his election in 90, maintained his real estate broker's license. So he can technically sell you a house in North Dakota if you're looking for one. Let's see. And let's see. Whoops, come back here. Copy TV. He's there he is. Alvin Yeager, Republican. There you go. Just so you know, the person that always have the biggest complaints with Republicans. It's always every time. That's the complaint. Swarthout. Jim Swarthout? Yeah. I'm sorry, who are you again? I'm Frida's secretary. Who's Frida? I'm Frida's boss. Who's Frida? My secretary.
But we're going to flood them.
Okay,
yes. Flood the North Dakota Secretary of State, who's a Republican, with requests to see vote counts in a state. Fuck me. What's the North Dakota population? 779,000 people. Fucking hell. What? 1/6 the population of the greater Los Angeles area?
We got to bounce. How do people?
Yeah. How do people find your shit now that it's been kicked out of the big box stores? How about? We got to bounce.
Once again, where do they go to make sure they make a FOIA request or still make a vote for a cast vote record? The guy in North Dakota should be bounced out of office.
Yeah. You know what? That's what you guys should do. Focus on kicking Republicans out of positions of power they've held for a long time. I'm good with that. Knock yourself out. Take the TYT strategy from that wing of the alleged Democrats, people who call themselves Dems and then act like that, and use that on Republicans. And then maybe some people might see what an asshole strategy it is, perhaps. They do any of these? Oy.
How? Where do they?
Where are they? Lindell TV, Frank's Speech, something like that. Go to fwank.com, FWANQ.com, and subscribe today.
Just go to frankspeech.com, where you can get
Fwank.
the app, Frank Speech, at the App Store.
Yeah, you can totally get it there. It's great. It's way better than the website, which gives us access to night pages all the fucking time.
And you're going to scroll down 3 lines, go past Lindell TV 1 and 2.
Yeah, take a right at I-72. Go down there about a quarter mile. On your right, you'll see a cow. If it answers to the name Lulabelle, you've gone too far. Back up and take I-5 out of the state.
And it says, Save My State. Just click on that,
and nothing will happen.
Everybody, let's get those FOIA requests out to those Secretary of States that are
especially the Republicans. Yes, flood red states. Like, no, I can't even joke about doing this in good faith because it's a prick move.
trying to block us from getting what we're entitled to under the Freedom of Information Act.
Let's get the San Francisco Chronicle to write it again. And
yes, get the San Francisco Chronicle.
Your headlines. We're being overwhelmed. Mike Lindell, thank you very much, brother.
We're wasting people's tax dollars. Woo!
Love you.
Thanks, Steve.
Love you. Here's the reason.
They're very close. They're very close. We're very close. I feel very close to both of them. How close are you to subscribing? It's Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, and you're here. And I think that shows taste and breeding on your part. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.